Well, Jared, thank you so much for joining us today as you prepare to take on Kelvin Gastelum August 21st in the main event for UFC Fight Night. There's a lot to look forward to about that fight, and we'll get into that. But right now we're at the MMA Lab. This is, I guess, your home away from home. What's it been like for you having this time in Arizona and really getting to train with this stable of coaches and teammates?
I don't even know where to begin, but it has definitely fulfilled the intent that I had when I came down here, and that was to make myself a more complete fighter, and make my way to the championship title. So I'm right there knocking on the door of that opportunity. I'm definitely a more complete fighter. I feel that I am just the way I even perceive MMA has evolved. So I've dissected it more thoroughly, if you will, and I've ingrained it more into my own self. So it's like, this is like my 12th year of being, 11th year, 12th, a year of being a professional, and at this point in time, I still feel like I'm green, and I still feel like I'm super enthusiastic about it. I'm always thinking about it. Every week, if there's a fight on, I'm watching it. I got Fight Pass, ESPN Plus, all the different content that I get from most of the social media outlets that are out there. So I'm completely ingrained in it, and the atmosphere here has only allowed me to grow exponentially. So I'm excited for the future.
Who's like your core group of training partners here?
We don't really, the whole team, we all train in one room. We don't have like private sessions or anything like that. So, of course, everybody knows we have a bigger contingent of lower weight class fighters.
Yeah.
And which isn't really necessarily new to me. I was a heavyweight starting out in Alaska, which doesn't have a lot of heavyweights. So definitely heavyweight training partners were super scarce up there. So it's nothing new to me. It may have affected my training in a positive way. That's the way I approach it, at least. I have to move as fast as these little guys. I can't let them, be faster than me. They won't let me get away with certain things that a heavyweight will let you get away with. So there's less margin of error, I feel, when fighting faster, smaller people, if you will. So, as everybody sees, I'm very light on my feet. I've been that way since my heavyweight career. I don't necessarily have to move too much in my fights because I practice efficiency, not only in my movement, but as well as in my striking. So the training here has only made me better in that aspect, in all those different aspects. And we also have a few bigger guys too. The heavier weight, middleweights have flocked to the MMA Lab. So we have a few mainstays like Kyle Stewart, who is one, Diego Bencoma, who's a really good wrestler who has helped me. He kind of resembles Kelvin, so I call him Kelvin whenever we're going to do rounds. I refer to him as Kelvin. It's kind of funny, a little inside joke we have here. But he's a really good wrestler, and he's been tremendous in preparation for this camp as well. So that's just to name a few. We have a few more. The lighter weight guys who I work with consistently, who I'm around here consistently, they inspire me many different ways. Just watching them, being in the same room with them, seeing how they develop. I get to learn how to develop if I so choose to take that route. I just look at all the different partners in here as a mirror. What qualities of them do I want? What qualities of them do I don't want to have as far as MMA goes? So they have all been very impactful to my training.
I love that approach, the mirror. That's really cool. What about the coaching? There's great leadership here, and not just right now. We've seen great leadership out of the MMA Lab for decades. It feels like within the sport.
Absolutely. Again, it's more like a team than it is more of your traditional sense of sports, like where you have a coach and you have the coordinators of the team, and you have the players and stuff. It's more like there is a collective consciousness, if you will, and we are all moving towards being the best MMA fighters. You know, the better versions. You know, yeah, being the best MMA fighters. So with that, they've developed a program around that aspect and that with that intent. You know, no one person governs what to do. Martial arts is what it is, and everybody brings their knowledge and deposit and contributes it to the pot, to the team, to the room.
I want to talk about some of your career highlights, and they've come since you've been here at the MMA Lab. You know, you've done some really cool things, and a lot of those are beating people in their own backyard. I want to start with the David Branch fight at Madison Square Garden. I mean, he's a guy who, that was his hometown, and you go in there and you knock him out, and it's in the world's most famous arena. That had to feel cool.
It really was cool. You know, the whole fight week, the energy that I got from, it was my first time in Manhattan. I've seen it in movies, and Ninja Turtles predominantly, you know, is more prominent in my mind. So I've always wanted to go there and see what it was like. Spider-Man, of course, is iconic with Manhattan. So I've always wanted to go there and see what it was like, you know. And all fight week, it was amazing, you know, the energy I got from wherever I looked, you know what I'm saying? Seeing everybody commuting on the streets just packed to the brim, everybody doing their things, the pop-up shops, all that different stuff. I bought a few things. It was real good. And then the night of the fight was even better. You know, the warm-ups, everything went perfectly. You know, get to the arena, do all the red tape, the drug testing and all that good stuff. And, you know, we get right to work, get wrapped up, get to warming up. Everything was going great. And then, you know, right before I walked out, I remember distinctly, I can't remember the kid's name right now. But anyway, there was that kid up there in the rafters, you know, just, you know, cheering me on, pumping me up, you know, telling me, you can do it, I can beat, you know, he was just naming off the top middleweights. You can beat Romero, you can beat Whittaker, you can beat anybody. Just put your mind to it. I was like, and I was listening, I can hear him clearly. Above the roar of the crowd, I can hear this boy say that clearly. And it was, I mean, it's like those words were energy going directly into me, and I felt it, you know, it pumped me right up, got my energy up, you know what I'm saying? I was on my toes, bouncing, ready to go. I gave the dude my shirt right then and there, and walked out. Got in there, got ready, did some work, defended some takedowns, which was, you know, everybody feels is my Achilles heel. But I didn't necessarily defend them, but I did turn those. What's the word? I recovered from takedowns.
Yeah, they didn't really matter.
Yeah, they weren't impactful to the fight, right? If anything, those things only invigorated me more. You know, they made me feel like, okay, we're finna work here. It sort of woke me up, if you will. So, you know, it was wonderful. I got to do my first interview with Joe that night. It was in Madison Square Garden. Walking through those halls, you see all the pictures of all the great events that happened there. It was definitely one of the most memorable moments in my career. You know, of all of them, you know, being in Brazil, going to Copenhagen, you know, going to Abu Dhabi, all those places. I think that one was definitely the most energy filled, if you will, you know, so that was really cool.
I love that. And we're going to talk about all those other places, because you went to Brazil after that fight, and you did what I think very few have been able to do, but many have dreamt of doing, which is defeating Anderson Silva in his home country. I mean, Anderson's like a god down there. And for a long time, he ruled not just the division, but the UFC. And to go down there and to defeat him, I mean, what was that experience like? Because it can sometimes be a hostile territory for those who don't hail from Brazil. But you went in there and took care of business, and it seemed like you also got Anderson's respect that night as well.
Well, I hope I would have already had his respect. You know, I don't think I've done anything not to garner anybody's respect. You know, for me, I always give respect first. That's just the way I am. You know, I'm always going to be respectful first, unless I see something that I don't agree with.
Sure.
And even in my disagreements, I try to be respectful first. But anyway, Brazil was nice. And to be honest, the whole lead up to the thing was really cool too. Being in Rio was awesome. You know, the hotel was right there by the beach. You know, all the fresh coconuts. I didn't eat no picanha. I had picanha the day after the fight. But, you know, I had some acai. It was really good. And also the fans were, you know, all respectful as well, you know. And of course, you know, they put their mask on, they put their hats on, and they put their support. They put all of their support into their guy when the night came. But it was a good experience. It was definitely fun to go to another country yet again. You know, it didn't matter who I was fighting, whose backyard I was fighting in. You know, fight's a fight. And thank God I didn't have to fight the whole crowd that night, just one man. You know, that would have been probably been a different story.
Yeah, my money might still be on you though, Jared.
Yeah,
you know,
I'll put my money on me too. Shoot.
But to defeat Anderson Silva, I mean, that's an incredible feat. Was it something that you had thought about? I mean, maybe even before you got into the UFC, had you ever envisioned yourself fighting Anderson?
Not necessarily early on. I was a heavyweight,
right?
Then a light heavyweight. But when I became a middleweight, things changed. I didn't necessarily idolize Anderson Silva that much, you know, coming up. I definitely recognized him, saw the skills, and definitely, you know, tip my hat to him. But I don't take idols. I don't take men as idols. You know, you feel me?
Yeah.
So I did learn from watching him. I will say that, you know. So he has impacted my career yet again, like most other fighters. But beating him, fighting him, I felt I had already made up my mind early on. Everybody was saying he's the GOAT, he's this, he's that. They were making him to be something that, you know, I already knew that he was and he didn't have to be. You know what I'm saying? But I knew what he was. He's only a man. We're all only men in there or women in there, trying our best to get that glory. So I understood that aspect of it, and I didn't take anything else in. So everything else was just extra to me. I didn't need any of the thoughts, any other voices in my head saying that, yeah, he is the greatest, he is the GOAT, he is this, he is that. You know, he can be that again when I'm finished with him, but once the ref says go, I am. And that's just my approach to fighting. You know, I want to be the best. And when it's time to go, I have to do everything in my power to prove that to myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
After that fight, you got your first main event.
Yeah.
You went to Copenhagen. There's a big old poster here in the gym of you and Jack Hermanson. It might be the biggest one in this entire training room.
Yeah.
But that's your first UFC main event. You get more frequent flyer miles. It feels like you're just traveling the globe and beating guys. Again, you beat Jack Hermanson. And did you feel like anything in your life changed after that?
No, you know, each win is another paycheck. So and in our career, you know, paychecks are few and far between unless we're doing something extra on the side. So especially for myself recently with the injuries that I've had. But I wouldn't say anything necessarily didn't change. It just alleviated financial burdens, you know, as normal. But again, those things aren't necessarily my focus. I don't like fight to pay bills. It's good to be able to do so. If I wasn't getting paid to fight, I'd be fighting and working another job somewhere else, which is what I did before I became, you know, ranked number 3 UFC middleweight. So, things necessarily didn't change. You know, time goes on, right? So that was just about it. I was waiting. I was actually, the perspective changed, right? The rankings changed. I got higher rankings. So now we start looking at, you know, contender fights, championship fights even, you know, stepping in for those if possible. So things did change, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you got a contender fight then.
I did get a contender fight after
a
whole slew of things.
Yeah, you went to Abu Dhabi. You took on Robert Whittaker in October of 2020. You know, I was there. I spoke with you. Jared, there was a lot, I felt like, of talk being very assumptive that you already won the fight and you were
Mm-hmm.
going to fight Israel. And Dana was saying, hey, if Jared wins, he's next. And Israel saying, I think Jared's going to win. For you, what was that like? Was there pressure? Did you think about it? Did you not think about it? I mean, what was that experience like in the lead up to the fight with Robert Whittaker?
2 words: tackle and fuel. And anybody who's seen the waterboard knows what that is. So that's, again, it's all energy. Whether it was positive or negative, I'm gonna take it how I need to take it to help it advance me to being a better me. And that's just my ethos, you know. That's my Nindo for all you Naruto fans out there. So that's me, man. So it was really cool to hear these things coming from these people in these positions that they were in, you know. I already knew of the reality of being in that position, but hearing them say it is verification, right? So that was really cool. Again, it was tackle and fuel. I wasn't gonna let it distract me from what I needed to do. You know, it was a lot of big distractions. You're in a completely different country, you know, a very world-renowned country. You know, Fight Island is very huge. On a very huge card, you know what I'm saying? Khabib's retirement card, you know. So that was huge. And it was fun, you know, the cage on the beach, all the catered service, all that, man, that was nice. I loved it. It was awesome. Fight Island was good. And it would be nice to go back without all the restrictions and all the other stuff. So with that being said, yeah, there was pressure, you know, but again, you know, pressure, what does pressure do? Create diamonds, you know, creates oils, makes crystals. Hey, there we go.
Yeah, right up your alley.
Right up my alley. So, but you know, it didn't affect me in the fight at all. It didn't affect anything I had to do there. I was there in the moment, present, enjoying it, loving every moment of it, loving every drop of sweat that I saw drop. The weight cut was fine. The weight cut was fine. The weigh-ins, the face-off was cool. Seeing Robert for the first time in person like that was really cool. He seemed bigger than I expected. Maybe everybody else seems bigger than him in his fights, and when I stood in front of him, he seemed bigger than me. But it was fun, you know. The whole process was fun. Even the fight was fun, given the circumstance. You know, it was really fun, and I enjoyed it.
Did you know you broke your arm in that fight? Did you have an idea?
Oh yeah, I knew. I knew. By the way, I blocked the kick that you can break your arm like that. Well, I already know we ain't supposed to do that. So it was my my bad on that play. And then as soon, you know, I set back up. I'm still in the fight, so I don't like stop looking at him and, you know, tend to the arm. So I'm still in the fight, and I open, close the hand, you know, flex the forearm, and I felt some movement in there. I already knew, and back to work. All right, what can we do here? What can I do here? How can I do it? You know, yeah, and it is what it is. You know, it's not fun fighting with a broken wing, trying to fly with one wing, but you know, I flew for 14 minutes with one wing, so it is what it is. It was a learning experience. Robert is definitely hard to get a hold of. He's very crafty. He's good at managing his space. You know, if you get into his space, he'll hit you with something. You know, and if you give him too much space, he'll just sit and do what he wants to do. So it kind of, you know, threw a monkey wrench in my games. I wanted to go in there, take it to him, not give him any chance to do that combo that he kicked me with a few times. The one that broke my arm, and then the one that, you know, skimmed the side of my head. But you know, it is what it is, right? It's an experience that I learned a lot from, and I'm glad to still be here, able to get back into it, and maybe even take another shot at him one day.
Yeah, absolutely, because the UFC called, once your arm healed up and you were able to get back to training, the UFC called with the name Kelvin Gastelum. Is that a fight that you had wanted, considering, you know, where Kelvin's been at in the division, some of the crazy battles we've seen him get into?
Mm-hmm. Well, initially they called with Paulo Costa, and he pulled out for I've heard multiple reasons: contract issues, social media says some dumb shit. I don't know if it's true or not.
That's why we're.
Yeah. So, but I believe my source. I believe contract issues is a viable reason. And hey, it happened. So luckily, there was a ranked opponent who wasn't booked. Everybody else was booked, and luckily his name was Kelvin Gastelum, who's somebody I have a lot of respect for. I'm a fan of. I've followed his career since The Ultimate Fighter when he fought Uriah Hall in the finale. So I've seen this man go from lower weight class to go to a higher weight class to fight guys bigger than him and do it without no change of expression or anything like that. So I see him for what he is. You know what I'm saying? One of those hard-nosed Mexican dudes who built like a tank and not too tall, but can work his ass off. You know what I'm saying? And this job happened to be kicking ass. So he's really good at that. And I'm excited at the prospect of fighting a guy of that caliber. He's challenged for the interim title before. His name has been at the top, dangling at the top there for the longest. So it's fortunate that I got him as a replacement and not, an unranked guy who wouldn't give me a good, what's the word? Opportunity to vie for a title, if you will.
Sure, yeah. Because beating Kelvin Gastelum would mean a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you look at the actual fight itself and the type of fighters you both are, I mean, what are your expectations? What do you envision for this one?
Well, I envision him trying as hard as he can to not allow me to impose myself, to not allow me to be myself in the ring. The thing is, he has no choice. The only thing that's going to stop that is, knocking me out, being a smarter fighter. And I feel like I'm a very smart fighter. So I make adjustments quick on the fly. I see things. My eyes I've been honing and tuning my skills, sharpening my weapons constantly, even while being on the men. So it's again, I haven't stopped training. I've always trained, even while I'm sleeping. I think I'm training.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about a perfect night at the office, on August 21st, what would that look like?
Easy peasy, knockout, right? First round, I'll put the pressure on. He tries to break free of that pressure. I hit him, he goes to sleep. But Kelvin's good, I think if he's smart, he might want to wrestle early. If not, incorporate that into his game plan. But I've got answers for that, so he may be running right into my traps. But, it's just general consistency, I would say. He has the more, the more wrestling credentials. So that will be his smoothest path to victory. I beg to differ. I say I'm going to go in there, I'm going to put it on him, do what I want to do to him, what I intended to do to Robert. So put it on him from start to finish. And if he can last the first round, good. If he can last the second round, great. If you can last the first round, I'm going to tip my hat to you. Let me buy you a drink.
Maybe you guys can hang out after the fight.
Yeah.
But what does a win over Kelvin Gastelum do? Do you believe it puts you next in line for the title? Does it put you back in the mix? I mean, when you really look at the state of middleweight, where do you go?
I would say a dominant win, We all know performances can change the the atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
It can change it. So, and that's all I do. That's my plan, It's either going to be a dominant performance or a back and forth fight of the night, or easy peasy. One of us finishes the other real quick. But either way, when I win, it's going to let those guys know that, he's ready for the title. Because how I plan on winning is going to send that message.
Excellent. You talked about being a heavyweight previously in your career. You went from heavyweight to light heavyweight to middleweight. That is a transformation if we've ever seen one. I mean, and physically, you can see it on you. Do you identify, when you think about yourself, do you still identify as that guy who was a heavyweight? Do you look back at your time as a heavyweight and go, oh my God, what was I thinking? Like, where are you when you kind of look back at those times in these different weight classes?
When I look back, I'm like, yep, that was me. Fat and happy, eating everything from anywhere, you know, undisciplined and, you know, so, but fearless nonetheless, you know. So I'm the youngest in my family. Both of my brothers are bigger than me. Most of my cousins are all taller than me, bigger than me. So I'm used to being the smaller person. That's why whenever I'm in a fight with somebody, I feel like they're bigger than me. That's why I probably feel like Robert's bigger than me. But I knew I was never a natural heavyweight. So it was just consequential, you know. It just happened. Whenever I got into MMA, I just happened to be pretty big, you know. So good times, if anything, right? Good times to learn from too. So
sure.
Yeah, when I look back, especially in my UFC career as a heavyweight, it's pretty comical if you ask me. You know, my first fight, which wasn't funny, you know, I lost, but it was still good to get my toes wet, if you will. And my second fight was pretty interesting. It was the first fight they had in Croatia, and that was fun to go all the way over there and be there and see that, and you know, get the win, get my first UFC win there. But interestingly, that card had like three other heavyweight fights on that card. So it was 8 heavyweight fights on that card, right? And it was me and Cyril Asker. It was, who was it? It was Francis Ngannou, Curtis Blades, Derek Lewis, Gabriel Gonzaga, Ben Rothwell, and Junior Dos Santos.
Quite the lineup.
Yeah, and all of them towered over me. You know, not only were they towering over me, but they filled in. You know, they were big. So seeing all those heavyweights in person, sort of, you know, put it into perspective, if you will. If I want to be smart about my career, you know, if I want to quit my job that I was working and really pursue this, I got to be smart about it. And going in there without a six-pack, you know what I'm saying, rippling muscles and as much of an advantage as I can have without cheating myself or cheating my opponent. And I should be doing that. So that incorporated dieting, working out more than once a day, you know, for 4 hours long, you know, being smarter about my exercise regimen. And being smart about my training regimen as well. So it just had to happen. So me and the wife, we buckled down. We came up with a better way to eat, better way to live too, you know, that comes along with a cleaner diet. And it's not even something we do consciously now. We just eat. We know we need to eat clean. We know whenever we eat something bad, we just did something bad. You know, we ate something bad. So we sort of smack ourselves on the hand a little bit. So, but we're accountable for ourselves more. You know, so that's one thing you have to have, self-accountability. And it's easy because when I apply it to the things that I love to do, like training, fighting, martial arts, you know, being healthy, not getting sick, being able to move, be free in that regard. Health is wealth, as they say. It's easy to do it. So we did it. We got the weight off. It was a lot of work, you know, a lot of sweat.
Yeah.
I had bought my own Aerodyne bike and I tortured myself for an hour every morning before I went to work for 10 hours, before I went to train for 5 hours. So it was good, and it was work that I was proud to do. You know, it was work that we were proud. You know what I'm saying? Me and my wife were proud to do. You know what I'm saying? She woke up with me. She did, you know, a lot of the work in the kitchen, a lot of the other stuff, you know, that I didn't have to worry about. So it was really, it was a real, what's the word? It was a good time. if you will.
Yeah.
It was a good sort of a montage, if you will, in my career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to go from heavyweight to light heavyweight to middleweight, did you have like a Goldilocks moment when you went to 185? Did you feel like, okay, this is just right? Like, this is where I'm supposed to be?
No, because I don't like to put myself in boxes.
Okay, fair.
I noticed my body was changing. The weight was coming off easily, especially since I had moved down here. Threw myself into the program. Did all, trying to do as much of the right things as I can. Showing up to practice, more than not just the one required practice, but doing the other work, the shadow work, the other work that we do here in the mornings and in the evenings, and the stuff that I have to do at home. My body was just transforming, fine-tuning itself to what I was applying it to. And so while the drop to 205 was a conscious effort, the drop to 185 was more of a consequential effort. So it just happened. I showed up to the fight with Dominic Reyes. I was 203, wow. Showing up to that fight. So I had to eat a little bit to get some weight on, and then, and then make weight at 204. So it was just a no-brainer, you know. And I've always told myself, if it's as long as it's the easy cut, I'll do it. If it's going to be a hard cut, I'm not going to do it. So my body has sort of settled here at 185. It may be stuck here. Who knows? Maybe I'll change my workout regimen. Maybe 170 will be in my future. Maybe I'll go up. Maybe I'll win the title at 185 and do the whole double champ thing, right? And maybe do the triple champ. Go back up to heavyweight. Revisit the old weight divisions and reintroduce myself.
I love that.
Yeah, with a six-pack this time.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you lived in Alaska and you're working this full-time job before you came here. That part of your life really intrigues me because I think for those of us who have never lived up there, just living in Alaska alone sounds so interesting. But then to be training and competing while working a full-time job, I mean, can you just tell me a little bit about what that part of your life was like?
It was interesting, me and my wife had just had our baby when we moved up there. I think Ava was, actually I had moved up there and got oriented into the job, went to Oklahoma City, did some training, and then me and my wife and my child moved up there, October of 08? No, 09. October of 09, and I think my daughter was 3 months old at that point.
Was it scary to bring a 3-month-old to Alaska?
No, not necessarily.
You're brave. No. What am I saying? I'd be terrified.
No. Well, my wife, her aunt lived up there as well. Okay. So it wasn't like we're going to a place completely, naked, nobody around us. I didn't know anybody up there, and Alaska's a long ways away from Texas. But it was all good. I was willing and ready to take this venture. I had gotten hired on to the FAA, so I had to make that move, for myself, for my family. It was just a really good opportunity to provide for myself after I hadn't gotten out of the Army. So I forgot where I was.
Just what life was like. I mean, it's hard. You're a dad, you're working full-time, and it's Alaska.
Yeah. Well, Alaska isn't too dynamic. People think of Alaska as, is it cold? There's snow everywhere.
That's literally what's going through my brain.
But you've been in the wintertime in Denver, or I've actually heard winter times in the central, I don't know, in the north is worse because it's more humid up there, and that wet cold it sucks. It's drier up there. It's drier, especially in Alaska. And even though the numbers get low, and dangerous, of course, it doesn't feel as cold as a wet cold would feel. So for me, it was tolerable, even though it wasn't fun. The darkness, the snow, I'm a sun person. I like the sun, I like the heat. So, but the summers were really nice. So it sort of balanced it out. I was working, providing for myself and my family. Any man would, wants to be able to do that for themselves, So that was just something that I can't really explain, but it's just something that I have to do. It's part of me, part of my programming, if you will. But working full time and training, working full time wasn't too fun. You know, it's a job. You know, so you know, other than that, it was a good job. You know, it was a really good job. You know, it's benefits, the work that I did. You know, it wasn't like strenuous or anything like that. There was a lot more sitting than I would have liked. You know, but it was still a good job. You know, I was making six figures by the time I quit the job. You know, so you know, that was the career, you know, that people look for, and they work for 30, 40 years and then retire to live the rest of their lives. But I didn't see any logic in doing that, you know, working my ass to the bone, sitting, getting older and older. And I felt it was making me unhealthy. It was just draining my energy. I just went there to drain my energy, and they gave me this fake energy called money in return, you know. So it wasn't fun, and I could definitely see through that veil early on. And so my aspirations in life changed. I don't want to get a job and work a job and have a nice house in the country with a white picket fence. You know, that's not what I want for myself. You know, what do I want specifically? I don't know, but I do know I want to be able to evolve, to grow, to learn, and to ascend mediocrity, if you will. You know, so martial arts I felt was definitely something that mediocre people don't do on a regular, you know. They may dabble in it, but at the highest level, you know, anything at the highest level, you know, is outside of mediocrity. Yep. So it could have been anything. It just happened to be martial arts because that's what I like. You know, I've always liked watching kung fu, karate movies. You know, Ninja Turtles is my stuff. Is a jam for me. So you know, that was it. I had to do it. After touching it in the Army, I knew I had to do it. So after I got out, I was looking for a place. Even though I didn't have money, steady income, I knew I was going to get that money. So I was looking for a place to train. And Alaska happened perfectly in the nick of time for me and my family. They had a gym up there, and I had to do it. So there was nothing going to stop me. And so I was willing to sacrifice those long days, those long hours. Luckily, my wife was right there with me and able to sacrifice along with me, because she sacrificed a lot as well, for us to be in the position that we're in now. So it was easy. Again, with the proper support, with the right people supporting you. You know, my family back at home supports me. Her side of the family supported me. Of course, the people in the gym support you. And that's all, you know, my coworkers at work supported me. So my environment was full of people who supported me, you know. I didn't necessarily have that in the Army, which is why it ended the way it did. Not to say it ended on bad terms with any specific people.
Sure.
But, you know, it wasn't no fairy tale ending to my military career. But it paved the way for greatness for me, you know, and I can see it. I can see it is right there, and I can see beyond it as well. So that's what I'm shooting for.
You've always seemed to be a guy who's so in touch with himself. You have a spiritual side to you. It seems like you're really aware of surroundings. Have you always been like that?
No. No, I have what people say, what you say, when you wake up? I woke up, you know? I have unplugged from the matrix to use that as an analogy, you know? So I was raised like any typical American black male, you know, in the city. You know, I was given, you know, the rules. Pretty much grew up in a single mom home. My daddy was around, you know what I'm saying, but they were separated, you know. So I know who my father is, and you know, I see my father for who he is, and he is the man who I connect with, you know. But we didn't have a man in the home, and I know how impactful that is, especially now being the man in my home. So not to say anything bad about anybody, everybody, you know, life takes everybody in its own directions. Yeah. So and I appreciate everybody who's in my life now. You know, I can now that the veil has been lifted, I can actually see the good that people have done for me. Anyway, So I was raised with typical religion, public school education. I'm not going to go into it too far. I'm not going to take you guys too far down the rabbit hole. But I don't think all of that. I feel that all of that is like feed for cattle, as opposed to high quality grass and sunshine and fresh air and open pastures for cattle. You feel me?
Yeah.
So it's a good way to keep a cow or a calf growing up into adulthood, and then you inject them into the system. And for cows, we know what the system is for cows. But for humans, we inject you into a college so you can go into debt, or into a job so you can work for somebody else for 40, 50 years, And recently, they've started, there's been this big push a louder push for entrepreneurship, But that's just recently. In my growing up, it was, go to school, get the education, which is the route to take, and it can work for some people, But I feel that route would have wasted a lot of my potential. So I think that route would have put me in the box. And like I said before, I don't like to put myself in any boxes. So, yeah, I joined the Army. I worked a full-time job. I was on that path to a 40-year career, living it up in a nice house with the RV and Alaska, or whatever I wanted. I could have did that, But that didn't bring me happiness. Again, that was taking energy out of me as opposed to putting energy in me. So I said, I'm not going to do that. This takes energy out of me, but it also puts it back into me at the same time. I'm not just giving myself to the mats. It's
Right.
It's giving energy right back to me, to my partners, to the bags. It's spiritual in that regard. Martial arts is spiritual in that regard. So that's something I would tell anybody to do. Don't just go to school and be programmed to become somebody's employee, or to be anything, to be a doctor, to be a politician, to be anything, what I'm saying? Don't just do it because you think it sounds good. I would encourage people to find something that resonates with them. Find something that touches them spiritually. And I don't mean like hum spiritual. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about something that makes you feel something positive, right? Nothing negative. We don't want the negative stuff. That's used for other things. But something that makes you feel good, something that inspires you, something that makes you want to build, create, do something good, do something positive, and of course spread that out. And that, for me, that's what I found martial arts has done for me. Even in watching it as a little kid, and then going out and trying to do it, I was like, oh, this is hard. And then the more I did, I was like, oh, it's getting easier. Ooh, I'm getting good at this, So it gives right back. So it's, again, something that's easy for me to give myself to.
Jared, I feel like it's always so inspiring to talk to you. I was feeling lightened after our conversation, so I appreciate your time today. We look forward to seeing you take on Kelvin Gastelum August 21st in the main event. Good luck, have fun. I know you will be very present during that time.
Thank you, Megan. I appreciate it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.